Hey everyone, welcome back to Poppin' In with Alexa and Molly. I'm Molly.
And I'm Alexa.
And we have a lot to discuss today. It's movie season. I don't know.
Yeah, it really is. I was thinking about it earlier. Like I just said, I was like, I feel like some movie came out that we wanted to see this week, and it was the SNL one. But I was like, I think like from now until probably Christmas, there's like a movie coming out every week that I'm like, I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that.
Yeah, I know obviously Wicked is like a big priority, but I just want you guys to know, like, I need the Tuesday after Gladiator 2 comes out, like whichever date that is, I need that Tuesday.
I'm down.
To be on everyone's calendars. Like, I need you guys to be available. Even if we don't see it Tuesday. Like, I feel like that could be an any day movie.
Yeah, well, yes, but I already block off my Tuesdays, basically, where I'm like, we're probably going to go see a movie. We've seen a lot of movies lately.
I know. It feels like it's been every week.
But yeah, I mean, it's not that bad of a price. Like, it's like $6, and if you're a member, you get, like, the free popcorn. Like, they have not sponsored us yet, so this is not a sponsored
Yeah, this is just
ad.
us, like, just...
This is Marcus Theaters Movie Tavern.
Greg Marcus, hit us up if you ever want to be on the podcast.
For all of our lovely 40 listeners that we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this week we went and saw actually 2 movies that were very poorly reviewed.
You know what? They were poorly reviewed.
I know. I already know.
Okay, one of them I understand. But, okay, so which one did we see first?
We saw Megalopolis first, but I was going to say, when I told Chris what movies we were seeing, he went, whew, y'all are going to have a week. And I was like...
We did, and they're definitely, the one thing is, like, whatever way you feel about them, they're to be discussed.
Yes.
But,
we're talking about, to clarify, Megalopolis, and we saw Joker 2, Folie, Deux.
Folie, Deux. And I understand. So Joker 2 has been just bombed both at the box office and by, reviews by critics. And
I would say by fans too.
By everybody. And I'm just here to say, but this is one of those things truly where I think, like, because one person is, like, people are saying it, so everybody else is saying it too. Because genuinely.
Okay.
I did not think it was anywhere as bad as the way that people
I didn't think it was horrible, but one thing I noticed, so I was, like, kind of watching you when we were discussing it afterwards, and I feel like you walked out, and at first you were like, I didn't really like it, and then I think you thought about it more, and I think you liked it a little bit more.
No, I actually liked it I didn't dislike it when
I couldn't
walked
tell.
Out.
I was, like, trying to read your expression.
Okay, so I feel, like, kind of bad, because after we saw it, I do feel like I got a little intense, but I
didn't think you got intense at all.
Okay, that's good. I have polled everyone so far, and no one thought I was intense. That's good, because I was feeling intense, so I'm glad you guys didn't pick up on it.
Not to, like, pull a meme, but very demure. Like, I thought you were just, chatting normally.
So, okay, good. Because in my head, I was like, I know Batman more than everyone else here, and, like, and I get really, like, not upset, but I get very, like, passionate when, like, I do know a lot about something. I think I know a lot about Batman, and, like, the Batman universe sometimes there's, like, more, there's definitely different storylines, but, like, I know I've watched a lot of the different Batman content. Like, I know a lot about Batman, and so I feel like, so when people are talking about stuff that I'm like, you're wrong, like, I feel like I try to, like, rein it in a little bit, but I'm like a little passionate.
Here's one thing I will say is I think going into these movies and not having a Batman background is, like, okay or almost preferable, because they're supposed to be separate, I think, from the Batman franchise.
They are, but, like, we were specifically talking about Batman storylines, and like at one point somebody said something that I was like, that's not true, and, like, I felt like it was, like, I don't know, it was friend of the pod, Megan. Megan was mentioning that, like, Joker killed Batman's parents, and, like, in some she said that it happened in Batman Begins. I know the Batman Begins movie, like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, like the back of my hand. So, like, I am here to tell you, like, that did not happen. But, like, so I get frustrated when I'm like, no, it didn't. And, like, everyone's like, no, I think it did. And, like, later on, my mom texted me. My mom went to see it with us. She was like, well, Megan was half right. Like, like, in the Michael Keaton one, like, Joker did kill Batman's parents. But anyway, so it's just, like, it's different in every storyline. So with Joker, if anyone's seen the first one, if you haven't, you should see it. I made Alexa watch it. That was part of our movie assignments. And I think you did like it. for what we talked about.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a really good character study.
Also very controversial when it came out. There was a lot of people. I think it obviously did a lot better. It won like an Oscar, but it also was a little bit controversial. I think some people thought it was too artsy or it tried to be smarter than it really was. And, you know, we live in a society and it's like all...
Yeah, we live in a society.
Yeah, but like...
We come to the movies.
Well, he says that. We live in a society.
I know. It's just the way it's said. I always think about that.
Yeah, and so I think the second one took a departure, but I do think it was just as dark. And I think that's where like people are saying like it was so different. It's a musical, which they did warn from the beginning. They said it was a musical. And so it basically, the second Joker picks up after, okay, this is going to be full of spoilers just so everybody knows. I won't give the whole like plot away, but like we're just going to be talking about it. So spoiler incoming. But basically it picks up after Joker ends, where Arthur, Joaquin Phoenix's character, is now in, I think it's Arkham Asylum. He's in the asylum. And after, you know, killing all the people in the first movie. And basically through like this music therapy class he's in, he meets Lady Gaga's character. It's Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. And they fall in love, and they make it pretty clear from the beginning that it's a musical. They are singing, but it's like a jukebox musical. So he's singing songs. And by the way, he's singing songs that are from like, I mean, I guess they're from different time periods. He sings like a Stevie Wonder song at one point, but like it's mostly songs that kind of fit the music in the first one too. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, you know, how he always sings like That's Life in the first one by Frank Sinatra. So it's like similar songs to that. So it's not like that wild. Mm-hmm. And I will say, so one thing that got Alexa, because it was making me a little like, I was like, oh God, like she hates it. Because like the whole movie, Alexa, like every time they would start singing, she just would be like, throw her hands up. She's like,
and I only did that once. And it was like towards the end, because I was like kind of calculating. I think it was a song. They sang
a lot.
Almost every 7 to 10 minutes.
It was
insane.
And that's the thing is like, don't get me wrong, it was a lot. And even for somebody, because I think that's a huge difference between me and like Alexa and Megan, is like, I love musicals. So I appreciated like the whimsicalness of, and I think you kind of have to, I don't want to say understand that. I'm not saying it's that like intelligent, but like I think you have to like appreciate that in order to appreciate this movie. And because it was very like, it was whimsy and like, you know, whatever. And full of whimsy and just like, it was a musical. But they did sing, that being said, they sang way too much. Like it was like every 7 minutes.
Here's the thing. I don't like musicals like you like musicals. I don't hate them like I used to when I was younger. Like I'll watch a musical, I'll enjoy it, like when we saw West Side Story or whatever. Mm-hmm. The thing with most musicals, and I saw this in the reviews too, but I thought it like when I was watching it, is usually the music furthers the plot. I don't think it did that at all. Like none of the songs really did anything for the plot. Like it would be like we have this big plot point. We're in the what do you call it? Courtroom or whatever, and then we have this big plot point, and then there's like a song where he's like just, and it doesn't do anything to further the plot, and I think it was just like one too many songs. And my third point, hear me out, it is frustrating that the first one was not a musical. Why is this one a musical?
Yeah.
And so I was listening to an interview with Todd Phillips, the director, and he was saying like him and Joaquin Phoenix were having these discussions about it, and they always said like in the first one, he always said, you know, I feel like Joker has music in him. Yeah. Or not Joker, but Arthur Fleck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has music in him. And so then that's how like Joaquin Phoenix would do like the dancing on the stairs or whatever. Yeah. And so the original idea for this was to be like a musical on like the West End or something. And this was like, they started having like texting about it, talking about it like during COVID, and they wanted it to be something where it's like it's only going to be for like a 2-week period of time. If you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. But then they realized it was going to be too complicated to do that. And so I think it was just like from their original idea pulling it into this, it didn't, like if they had just done like the musical in the West End, sure. But for it to be a sequel to something that wasn't a musical in the first place just feels really conjoined.
And I would agree if it weren't for like what the plot already was, which is like a man who is kind of insane.
Yeah.
Who is like in a mental hospital, who is imagining things, or you don't really know what's real or whatever. And like I didn't think it was that crazy that it was going to be a musical. Like I remember when they announced it and they were like, yeah, it's a musical and it's going to be about Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship and Lady Gaga's playing Harley Quinn, I was like, oh, I actually like that. Like, I didn't think that was that crazy because, again, it's just like, it's not like the first movie was all that serious in terms of like, yeah, it was very dark, but it was like, I could see it for that character. Yeah. I think I thought that too. It was like, he's you know, full of music. Like, he's just, it kind of almost did have like a musical element to it. But, where's it going? And so to kind of comment on that, like, yeah, I guess I agree that, like, okay, musicals, the music has to further the plot. It can also sometimes, like, be a replacement of, like, dialogue. So it can also be not necessarily furthering the plot, but, like, be what's happening in that moment. And I do think, like, it wasn't always necessary. I totally agree with you there. Like, whenever they would break into song after, like, they just broke into song 4 minutes ago, I'd be like, okay. But I, like, you know, at one point he was singing, like, For Once in My Life, which, by the way, I have listened to a lot since watching the movie. I actually did like the soundtrack.
Was good. Like, I think the songs they picked, the way it was sang, I think it was good. It was just, like, it was just too much.
It was too much. Yeah, I do agree. But there were some points where it was like, I get what he's talking about, how he's like in love or whatever. Yeah. Like, you know. But I think I agree with you. But I just think it was not as bad in any way as the way people are treating it. Like, genuinely. I don't know.
So here are my thoughts. I just think, like, because of all the music felt like fluff. Like, it felt like they were, like, the movie was almost empty. Like, it's like, what are we doing in terms of this character? What are we saying more about him than we've said in the first one? You know, the point of having a second or a sequel is to, like, again, further the plot in some way, your understanding of this character, anything. I don't think we really did. Like, I think we saw exactly how he was in the first one. And also, I think Megan mentioned this, and I agree, like, Lady Gaga's character.
No, there was no point to her character,
It would have been the same exact movie without her.
Yeah, I do agree. That is a good point.
And again, she played Harley Quinn, to clarify.
Yeah, we said that. But I think, and I'll defend it. I think no one's going to agree. I think it's a very unpopular opinion that I have. I've only met, like, one other person who liked it. But I genuinely, I liked it. I didn't think it was anywhere near as bad as, like, the reviews are giving it. Like, I've definitely seen worse. And I think for a sequel to the first one, I think it was fine. I don't know. And also, again, like, people were like, oh, it wasn't as dark. I'm like, it definitely was. The beginning was actually kind of disturbing to me when they first show him. First of all, Joaquin Phoenix's body transformation for
actually made
Joker.
Me uncomfortable to, like, look at him.
Yeah, like, when he doesn't have a shirt on and it's just like his shoulders look kind of like disjointed. Like, it's
I was like, he should see a chiropractor.
I know. But I think that's just how he looks for the role. I guess he just loses a bunch of weight for it. But the ending was interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be another. I mean, there literally can't be.
Spoiler.
But, like, I don't think there would be. And I think
No, I don't think there should be.
No. And I just, again, I'm glad you liked it. Like, I don't think it was the worst thing I've ever seen. I just think, like, as a sequel, and the first one was so phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I think Joaquin Phoenix throughout has done a great job of playing the character, like, the emotion. I think he has a good voice. But I just think, like, there were certain, like, it just didn't do anything. Like, I'm like, what is this telling me about this world? And I was reading this review also that people were frustrated that it basically only took place in 2 settings. You know, the prison and then, like, the courtroom, basically. Mm-hmm. And they keep talking about all this, like, crime has gone up in, like, Gotham and all this, like, disgruntledness, but they don't really show it. Because, I mean, it is, like, his, like, Arthur's perspective, but then it I don't know. It didn't really just do anything for me, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it added to, I think we could have just ended Joker at Joker. And I think that would have, like, really been fine.
Yeah, I think it would have been fine as a standalone movie, but again, I just didn't think it was that bad. I think people should give it a chance, but if you don't feel like it, then don't.
Yeah.
Also,
again,
I'm curious,
the soundtrack's very good, though.
It was good. I've listened to Joaquin Phoenix sings "For Once in My Life" by Stevie Wonder. He does, like, a version of it, and it was kind of the first, like, song in the movie where he, like, really sings, and like, he's not, like, the best singer ever, but for some reason I just really like it. But he can sing because he played Johnny Cash in Walk the Line, and it's when I was a kid, I used to listen to that soundtrack all the time. Like, I used to be obsessed with that movie, and for some reason, and so I think he can sing.
So what's interesting is also, so they talked about that, and I listened to the Terry Gross Fresh Air interview with Todd Phillips, and she asked him about that, and he was like, it's actually based on the Frank Sinatra version, even though people keep saying it's the Stevie Wonder version.
Yeah. It sounded like a Frank Sinatra version.
I loved hearing Joaquin sing it as Arthur, because he was like, the thing is, when you hear Frank Sinatra say, like, for once in my life somebody loves me, like, kind of hard to believe, you know? But, like, for Arthur, like, you do believe that.
Yeah.
But I also thought it was interesting, like, Terry Gross is obviously such a good interviewer, but there's so many parts in that interview that are, like, a little bit uncomfortable, because she straight out, like, she says it as nicely as possible. She asks, so she's like, basically, like, I've heard that Joaquin Phoenix is difficult to work with and kind of moody or whatever, and there's just, like, this long pause, and Todd Phillips is like, well, I can just go based on experience, and I think he's, like, phenomenal. I think he's he's just silly, blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, he does
seem silly. I've seen, like, silly parts of him, but I also think he probably is, like, takes himself very seriously. Yeah.
And I thought Terry Gross had an interesting perspective on Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, because she was saying, like, Harley Quinn is such a persona, and she was like, so then you bring in Lady Gaga, who's also a persona, into this role. And he was basically like, yeah, you know, I think, like, that was kind of the point, which I will say, like, it is hard. Like, when I watched A Star Is Born, like, I think she did a phenomenal job in that, but in this, it was hard for me to not be like, that's Lady Gaga.
So it's funny because the guy, I don't know if you remember, but there's like a character, at one point, like, Joaquin Phoenix signs a book for the security guard.
Oh, yeah.
So that security guard, he has a podcast, he's a comedian, and
oh, interesting.
He is very funny. And so I was actually listening. He talked about Joker on his last episode, and he was like just talking about how it just got, you know, horrible reviews, and he was like kind of making fun of it. And he also said he thought it was a bad movie. And but he mentioned, I mean, he's just like, he's very edgy, but he was like, he's just funny, but he was saying that Lady Gaga, he was talking about Lady Gaga, and he's like, Lady Gaga is just not a good actress. And I really disagree with that. I think she's actually very good. I thought she was phenomenal in The Star Is Born. For somebody who's that's not her first profession, I think, like, she's actually a very good actor. And I thought that her acting in Joker 2 was fine. Yeah, her character was not totally necessary, but or whatever.
Like, she did a good job. Yeah. I just think it is difficult to go from being Lady Gaga to, like, being able to, like, have people not see you as Lady Gaga on the screen. I almost feel like that'd be harder in A Star Is Born, because she plays, like, this girl. Like, in some points when I watch A Star Is Born, it's, like, it's almost more it's less believable in that, because it's, like, she's, like, this girl who just, like, is a, you know, like, just works as a waitress and doesn't, you know, and then she becomes a singer, and it's, like, that's Lady Gaga, though. But whereas when I'm watching her play Harley Quinn, I'm like, yeah, Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn makes sense, you know? I also, and I think I said this right afterwards, I'm like, I feel bad because I feel like Lady Gaga is really trying to go after, like, these Oscar bait movies, like with House of Gucci, this, and, like, A Star Is Born, which, did anyone win?
Yeah, well, I mean, she was, like, nominated and stuff. And I think, she won for, like, Best Song or something. Yeah. But yeah, like, that got nominated a lot.
Yeah, but, like, she very clearly wants to win for, like, acting. And I'm like, she just keeps picking these, like, Oscar baity ones that are just not, they're just not there. Like, House of Gucci was...
I will never watch that movie.
I watched 2/3 of it, and I read all the stuff, like, on, like, the story that it's based off of. They had such a good base to create, like, an insanely good movie, and I can even describe to you, like, how it fell flat. It was just like, I just don't care. I was like, the accents are weird, the costumes are weird, and I don't know. But I will say, like, her character is interesting because she basically, again, spoiler, she, like, is a fan of Joker and says that she, like, loves him. But then when it's clear that he's, like, more Arthur Fleck than he is Joker, she kind of, like, bails on him.
He kind of denounces his Joker persona,
And there's, like, they have, like, this one sex scene where she, like, comes to visit him in prison. About that. And it's, like, such an awkward sex scene, and you feel so bad for him. And that's just kind of when I knew, I was like, she doesn't actually love him. And it's not that because, like, he couldn't, like, do well at sex. Like, she was just being weird about it and not in, like, a...
It was more like she was obsessed with the image and the fact that he was Joker, you know, rather than him as a person. But, it was, I don't know, take it or leave it. Like, if you want to see it, it was... I liked it, but I know most people didn't, so it's kind of it's just interesting. I really did not. I will say I did not expect it to get as bad of reviews as it did, and then when I saw it, I was just like, I don't get it. Like I just don't see it being that bad.
It wasn't the worst film I've ever seen, but it also just I will never watch it again.
So I'm curious.
I will never recommend it to
So
anyone.
You want to see Saturday Night?
Yeah.
So are you a fan of Saturday Night Live? Like, do you know any do you know any background of that? Like, are you...
No, but I want to. I wanted to do, I wanted to read the book on it or whatever, and a few months ago I was actually looking up, I was like, I wonder if anyone's ever made a biopic about this. And then I saw it was in production. I said, perfect, I'll wait till then.
Okay.
Wait, why?
I'm just curious, because I feel like sometimes if you go into something without, having any... I don't want to say appreciation, but I'm just curious.
Why? Because I don't have appreciation for musicals? Or Joker?
That, but also, yeah, because you mentioned earlier, you were like, I don't know anything about Batman, which is fine, because, again, you can watch Joker without knowing. But that's what made me, I was just wondering if you had any,
I like SNL. I know, my dad was he's one of those people who's like, SNL was the best in the 70s and 80s type of person, which, I'm sure it was. But so, that's the SNL that I've, seen, and then, I've watched, the skits and stuff. I never... sit down on Saturday nights and I'm like, SNL, I will catch the recaps.
But, do you know about, the original cast and stuff? Do you know? Because that's what it's about.
Yeah, I do. I did, some research on it, a while ago, so I'm gonna, do a little refresher on it. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I think I know more about it, I'll be honest, than I know about Batman. Okay. So, but I'm excited to see it. I don't know, any of the reviews or anything like that, but, But also, so I know, Emily was going to go see, friend of the pod, Emily, shout out, who was going to go see Joker 2, and we were I think she was texting us about it, or was it just me? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
She was just like, oh, how was it? And I was like, it's really bad. And she was like, I'll probably still see it. Which also we were talking about, we're going to see Wicked, and she was asking about what our movie theater is like. Marcus Theaters sponsor us. I was like, it's great. They have the reclining chairs. They have... they serve food to you. They have beer and drinks. And she literally goes, do they have a Coke freestyle machine?
A what?
A Coke freestyle machine.
A Coke freestyle machine?
You know, the big things where it's you press the little screen buttons.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh,
no.
They should though. Those are I didn't know they were called that. I want that in my house.
That's what she said when I asked what her last drink would be. She was like, anything out of a Coke freestyle machine.
Same. A lime. Okay, they have a lime flavored Coke or raspberry flavored Coke. It is so iconic.
Or maybe that was Chris. No, Chris definitely said an old fashioned or something. But I was just like, oh no, it's definitely a they serve you kind of thing. And she was like, okay, that's fine.
No, that's such a good question though, because they should have that.
It is. I feel like
they do have that at movie theaters now.
And I was trying to describe to her though. I was like, we also have another movie theater in town,
but it's no, I won't say
name redacted. I was like, it's kind of
trash.
A horror to walk in. They don't even check your tickets.
It's like you're walking into an abandoned building.
I tripped on the carpet. I was like, why is there so many bunches in this carpet? I looked down. It's the movie theater I worked in when I was a kid, or when I was a teenager. It's not like a 5-year-old kid selling movie theater tickets.
You could be now. You could be a 2-year-old.
And I was like, this carpet is the same from 15 years ago. And I went to go to okay, this is a gross story, but I'm about to tell it. I'm about to call our theater out. So I went to the bathroom when we saw Megalopolis, because it was...
Megalopolis only played at this other theater, so we had to go.
And I'll get to the part why I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom during this. But I went to the bathroom during it, and I thought about the time that I remember, and again, this is going to be very gross, but this woman and her kid had explosive
both of them
diarrhea.
Wait, both of them?
They both came out of there. So
okay, it was the kid, I would assume.
You can never assume. It was I just remember it being
both of them.
I just remember it being a lot of diarrhea.
Ew!
Explosive diarrhea in that bathroom. And I remember because the thing is, we don't have cleaners coming in during the day. It's us, and everyone, all of the staff were like, we don't get paid enough. Yeah. So then the manager had to go and clean. He was like, he had to clean it off the walls, off the it was I'm not kidding, as if a bag of shit exploded in that bathroom. And I remember him walking out, and his face was so deathly white. And he was just he looked at us and he just goes, "It's clean now."
Ew.
and just left. And so while you were watching,
also so gross is somebody to not clean up after themselves. How dirty and disgusting can you be?
It just made me think of that plane also that had to go down because the person
had
the explosive diarrhea.
Okay,
I feel like they probably were just her, like, they were just like, maybe we should go to a hospital. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we gotta get out of here.
Like just absolute shit.
What word were you about to say?
Spraying shit all over the bathroom walls, like insane. So while you were watching Megalopolis, I was having that memory come back to me in my mind while I went to go pee.
To make this transition into Megalopolis, I went to the bathroom at one point to literally wake up. I was falling.
It was a 7:40 show.
I have said, I was like, I cannot see a movie after 8 p.m. I just can't. Like, because
you're an early bed girly.
Oh yeah,
early girly.
If this movie was 2.5 hours, I think. About
yeah,
that
they
time.
were the same.
Yeah, Joker 2 and Megalopolis were both 2 hours and 18 minutes.
Crazy.
So about when you include previews, that's like 2 hours and like 40 minutes basically. Yeah. And so I was falling asleep during this movie, literally falling asleep. And I went to the bathroom just to wake up. And it came back.
I think I did look at you like at one point, and no one can see me, but I have like my head like on my hands, and you were just
I was falling asleep.
Like trying to open your eyes wider.
That being said, I actually, again, this movie has gotten, if you don't know what we're talking about, it's a Francis Ford Coppola movie. It's called Megalopolis. It stars Adam Driver and a bunch of people, a great cast. Yeah. I will say the cast saved the movie.
I think we've talked about it on an episode before. I don't remember which one, so go listen to all of them to find out.
We've mentioned it in several episodes because it seems like every week leading up to the movie, Francis Ford Coppola would make new statements about this movie. And it was crazy. So he funded this movie himself because no one would fund it.
Mm-hmm. He's been working on it, I think he said, for a decade.
Which that one surprises me a little because I'm like, it's not that great. But I will say, so it got really bad reviews. I don't think it's done well at the box office. But I actually didn't think it was that bad.
Okay, here's my hot take.
I saw the vision.
I thought it was better than Joker 2.
Whoa.
And here's the thing, is it was more interesting. Okay, like it was just like, and... Yeah. I don't think but here's the thing, and I saw like someone did a TikTok of this too, but like there were parts where there were like, it was like us two and maybe like 2 other people in the theater. There were points during the movie where you could hear like
people
audible laughs.
Laughing.
And it's not like because it was funny, it was just like,
it was so ridiculous. What? It is like a very ridiculous, bizarre movie because like the dialogue is so strange. Like
it's very like Shakespearean almost.
Yeah, and this is why I say like I see the vision because it was almost like it's like could have taken place in the Roman Empire. Like it was kind of like. I don't know, how would you explain it? You've said, like, I could not explain this movie to you if I tried. Like, when
I
we
said
were talking
gun
to
to my
friends.
head.
Yeah.
Actually, I texted Chris and I was like, we're almost done with this movie. If you asked me to explain the plot, I couldn't. When we walked out, the one other guy in the theater was like, did you guys understand that plot at all? And we were like, no. But basically, I think what he was trying to do is this, like, futuristic utopia type of thing where it takes place in New York City, but also, like, it's like a mix of the Roman Empire. Yeah. So it's supposed to be like this allegory for the fall of Rome. So literally, like, Adam Driver's character is called Caesar, and all the other characters, I don't even remember their names, but they're Roman names or whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember any of their names, actually.
And so basically it's supposed to be like Adam Driver has found this special type of like building material that it's called a megalodon or something like that, and it's supposed to grow like with the inhabitants of what it creates. So it can create this utopian city, but people who are like still invested in, like, they literally have this scene where they're like, steel, concrete, and they're like just yelling the words at each other, are wanting that. But then there's also this whole thing with like immigrants coming into the city, this whole thing with like how like we view women, which is interesting, this whole thing with like the environment. Like the thing is, there were so many, again, like allusions to issues in our society today that none of it like was really drawing together.
But at the same time that they were like shoving in your face that it was so obvious but made no sense at the same time.
Yes, to the point where like the last scene of the movie, I was telling someone, and this isn't like a spoiler.
Is so funny.
It was like, this is when people were laughing. The last scene is like they're on stage. They've built this utopian megalopolis city, and the Adam Driver, and I forget the woman's name, but she actually is in 4 Weddings and a Funeral on Hulu that came out like 7 years ago. A phenomenal
She's from
show.
Game of Thrones, too.
Oh. Well, also...
Wait, are you talking about his love interest?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's from Game of Thrones.
Oh, well, they have
Miss Andre or whatever. I forgot how you say her name.
They have a baby together. The baby's name is literally Sunny Hope is the baby's name. And they do this thing where they're like giving a speech like about the greatness of the future and caring for people. And they put the baby down. And the last scene is like this closing, like, what do you call it? Like almost where like the camera lens is closing in on the shot of the smiling baby.
No, but the baby is like hovering over this floor. It was just weird. The movie it is bizarre. Mm-hmm. But again, like at some point I was too tired to watch it. Like that's the problem is we were watching it too late. We probably should have started that movie at like 3:55 showing would have been ideal.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like 6:00.
Yeah.
But other than that though, I was like, you know what? It's not that bad. I'm entertained by this.
I'm entertained, but I do think so. There's this quote from a Vulture article. I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but it's like Blige Abiri. And he said, Megalopolis comes to us as the perhaps final testament of an artist now in his 80s, but sometimes it feels like the fevered thoughts of a precocious child, driven and dazzled and maybe a little lost in all the possibilities of the world before him.
And so Alexa made this comment after we saw the movie where she was just like, he's too old to be making movies.
Yeah, like where it's like, oh, okay, give him one of those cognitive test things, you know, where maybe not like, but
my argument to that is like, were there not. And okay, I guess he funded the movie himself so that maybe there was no filter. But like, I mean, there had to have been like other writers involved in this somehow.
But I think it gets to the point, I said this is like Unfrosted, where people were like, well, there's so many big names in it. How can it be bad? And I think people are like, oh, I want to be in a Scorsese movie for the same reason of like, I want to be like, this is a Jerry Seinfeld film.
Well, somebody said they were like, Adam Driver needs a new agent. Like people were talking about it on X because it's just like people were saying, you know, he's been in now like some bad movies or whatever. And somebody pointed out, they were like, I mean, not really, because when you look at it on surface, it's like he's in a Francis Ford Coppola movie. He's in a, what was another one? Like, I don't know. He's just worked with so many, like, these are still great directors. So on surface, like, it looks good. Like, it's actually not that crazy to say that you've been in this movie.
I do think that that's why there were so many famous people in it, is people were like, well, now I can say I've been in a Francis Ford Coppola movie.
But it's wild when you watch this movie to be like, this is the same man who directed The Godfather and these, like, brilliant movies, and you're just like...
I literally wrote here, I said this feels, and because I immediately thought this, it feels like an old man who's read a little too much moral philosophy books and has done a little too much transcendental meditation. You know, like, he's just like, he's just really putting everything in there. And I think it's interesting, I read that originally, like, Coppola wanted to adapt Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, which makes the weird shit make sense, I guess. Like, because that's also very, like, futuristic, utopia, like, weirdness or whatever. And I just think, and I know you thought, I know you love Adam Driver. I love Adam Driver, too. I do not think this was his best performance. And
I didn't say that. No one said that. It was his best performance?
No, I didn't. I'm saying you love Adam Driver.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it was his best performance, and I think it's just simply because it could not be with that dialogue. Like,
right. Well, yeah, but I'm responding to how you're like, I know you love Adam Driver, but yeah, I definitely don't think this was his best performance. But I will say, I think one thing I respect about him, to go back to like him picking directors or whatever, it's like, he really, first of all, I think he leans into honestly, his character reminded me a lot of Adam in Girls. Because of the way he moved around and he kind of just did his own thing. And I was like, this is Adam, you know, like, this is Adam himself. And I feel like I love when he embraces the, like, freaky little guy role. Yeah, like, he's kind of a freak. He's like, he's a little freak.
Also, big feet. His feet were, okay, this is weird. I think I mentioned feet too much on this podcast because I'm not like a foot person. I just notice people when actors' feet are full out. I'm always just like, wow, that's their whole foot, and I'm like, his feet were out a lot, but they're also out in a lot of girls. But anyways, they were massive feet.
Yeah, there's something almost like animalistic about him, the way he moves, and I like kind of.
I think it's the structure of his
face. He's just so interesting, and that's why I love him. Is like there's almost something a little bit like scary about him because he's so. He's just like got this like unpredictable movements. And so when I was watching him, I literally was thinking about Girls a lot because I was like, he kind of reminds me of Adam again. Like just I feel like I'm seeing that, like just the way that he would just move around and do kind of weird things. Like he would just sort of, you can tell where he was like making his own choices, you know? And so no, I definitely don't think it was his best role, but I do appreciate when he sort of embraces weird roles.
Yeah.
So.
Oh. Sorry, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say your point where you were saying there were other writers on it. So, yeah, obviously there were other writers, but I think,
maybe, I don't know.
Imagine you're a writer and it's Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're not going to be like, hey, I don't know about that. Like, it's tough.
One.
And I think I said to you right after, I was like, this is why script editors are great. And that's why I think also, like, I'm sure if other, like, production companies had funded it, they would have been like, hey, you need to get a better script editor. We got to tighten this up. And that's why I almost think it's a hindrance for artists who become really successful. Like, their first stuff is always great because they have people who are, like, going to challenge them and be like, hey, you got to reel this in. You got to do whatever. Yeah. Whereas, like, when you become this huge name, then, like, people, like, I always think of, like, David Lynch. When he did Twin Peaks, the original run, it was on, like, cable, right? So he only had, like, a certain amount of time, and it also had to be for a certain audience, which I think made it more palatable. Then he did Twin Peaks season 3, absolutely bonkers and so boring.
Was that the one that came out, like, a few years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, what is this?
I swear to God, like, at least a 5-minute scene of a man sweeping.
Yeah.
He's just, there's no music, he's just sweeping.
Yeah, because they have full control over it at that point, because it's like, oh, we can trust him, and it's like, no, actually, you can't.
No, you can't. And it's like, people are like, oh, but the art, and it's like, okay, yes, the art, but this has to be, like, palatable.
I think sometimes their visions just don't translate, because I've said that about, like, it reminds me a little bit of M. Night Shyamalan, because, like, I think he has had movies that are iconic, so good, and then it's like The Happening came out, and I actually understood when you know, like, what he was trying to do with it, you're like, okay, but it's just like the execution is just so weird.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of like this, where it's just like, I feel like he had something in mind that just did not translate.
Yeah.
But it didn't, in a way, because I still was entertained by it.
Yeah, I think it was beautiful. Shia LaBeouf, I think, did actually a great job.
So Shia LaBeouf has his issues, and, you know, he definitely is, like, a problematic person. But I will say, when I was watching the movie, I was like, he really is a good actor. Like, I wish he wasn't the way that he was, or how he's acted, because I do he is a very talented, unique individual. And so it kind of made me, like, miss his acting a little bit, because I'm like, oh, he was good. The thing is, the acting in it was good. They made the movie what it was. Giancarlo Esposito played the mayor.
Oh,
what was his last name? I can't remember the mayor's name, but he was very good too. I mean, he's always good in everything he's in, but, like, he was really good. I think, like, thankfully they had the cast that they did, because that's what made it better than what the script was, you know.
And I will say, like, I think throughout the movie I would turn to you and I'd be like, the outfits were phenomenal. Like, they were, like, Greek,
this style
Roman
was beautiful,
inspired. I think the movie is beautifully shot. It's just, like, there's so much going on in it.
There was so much going on. It was overwhelming. It almost kind of, like, it's kind of one of those movies, I've said this before, but, like, when there's something, like, Matthew actually said this to me yesterday. He's like, I think, like, large things scare you, like, when things are, like, big.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, yeah, I think I do somehow have kind of, like, a fear of that. I don't know what that's called, but and so it did, like, freak me out. There at one point they showed, like, these statues moving, and I didn't even fully understand that, but it was like these. Do you remember that?
Like, it was like it was like Justice was like he was going through, like, the slums of town. It was like Justice kind of being like, oh, I'm tired,
but she was like, it was like these big statues just, like, moving.
I will say, like, you watch me in real time fully realize my fear of heights, because there are so many scenes where they're, like, building a building and they're, like, walking on the scaffolding. That's when I got up to go to the bathroom. I was like, it was literally, like, making my chest tighten. I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom now. I was like, I can't watch these people stand over this, like, height.
And there was one point where she was standing on it with high heels, and I was like, ugh. Like,
and maybe it's because I'm so clumsy. I'm like, I would die. I would absolutely die. But even, like, the very first scene is, like, Adam Driver, which I don't even know. The scene is so weird. Like, it doesn't even make sense, because also there's a weird part in it where Adam Driver's character can stop time.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not supposed to be magic.
Can't.
And his love interest is, like, the only one who can, like, see him stop time. She's like, oh, I saw you stop time. And it's supposed to be, like, a weird,
I saw you stop time.
Yeah, like, what a weird discussion.
Yeah.
And also,
he's like, oh, I love her, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess she's the one.
Oh, like, she's brilliant. It's like, it's the discussion where he's like, so go back to the club.
Go back to the club, which, by the way, like, you've probably seen it now. It's like, it's a memeable thing. But everyone in our theater, like, laughed at that.
Imagine how many times they shot that, and then they were probably
so
like,
go back to the
we're
club.
going with that version.
But that's what I mean is, like, I'm sure that script did not have it said like that. It's just, that was just probably Adam Driver's choice.
Yeah, but there was, like, the first scene is, like, Adam Driver's, like, about to jump out of this building, which, again, it doesn't really, I don't even know, because that scene comes back into play later, and it doesn't do anything.
If I watched it again,
why can he stop time? Why is he creating this magical building material that grows, but they also made a dress out of it?
They explained it in the beginning. If I went back and watched it, I would be able to probably, I'm like, no, it would make sense if I went back and watched it. But, like, seriously, like, I was literally falling asleep. So it's hard for me to process things when I'm already, like, half asleep.
And there's also, like, this whole thing where, actually, I really did, it's like a wedding scene, but it's also, like, they're in, like, the Coliseum type style. I really like that it was very theatrical. And that's the thing, is it is a very theatrical movie.
So, her name is Grace Vanderwall, the one who plays the ukulele. She was the kid.
Yeah, but her name is Vesta. Clearwater or something.
I don't remember, but that part was really funny. I actually liked that. I thought that was very funny.
It was, but she's wearing a dress made out of the building material that Adam Driver's character comes up with, and she's like, right. It's
completely see-through.
As in, like, you can see, not like you can literally see the other side of what's behind her.
Right.
And I was like, what's this material? What is this?
I'm sure they said it.
The mythical science behind it just doesn't make any sense.
No.
I think it was very inspiring as a work of art, where it's like, this is clearly a piece of art that people were passionate about.
That's the thing. And so I actually wanted to say this. Like, I sometimes, that's a part of me where I get a little defensive of movies like Joker 2 or Megalopolis, where I'm like, you know, there was so much work put into this that I just almost feel bad saying that it was bad.
Yeah.
I think, like, sometimes I don't feel bad about it because I'm like, well, this was just a money pit. But, like, I feel like when people really have, like, a vision or they're really passionate about their work, like, I just feel, like, I feel bad because there was so much work put into this. Yeah. And so sometimes it's just, like, hard for me to say, like, this was a bad movie because I don't know.
Yeah.
Just how I feel.
Yeah. Do you want to do a refill?
Sure.
So anyways, this week we are drinking, courtesy of Molly, a Barefoot Pinot Grigio. Listen to that, folks. Sponsor us, Barefoot.
Love Barefoot.
I don't love bare feet, though.
I think you do.
I don't. Men's
a really
bare feet,
large part of me thinks you do.
I don't really like feet. And it's because my sister would always, like, put her feet on me because she knew I didn't like feet when I was a kid, and it's really freaked me out. But I just think, like, there's something really intimate about, like, seeing someone's whole foot, like, when it's like a famous person. You know, it's like, wow,
I know,
everyone has feet, and that's yours. Do you know what I mean?
You know, I feel like it does kind of humanize people. It's like when you see their hands. I always think that about actors, if their hands, because that's one thing that you cannot hide their age is, like, I always think about Brad Pitt, for example. Like, he looks so much younger than he is. He looks obviously great for his age. Well, whatever. But but then they'll show, like, his hands, and you're like, oh, that's an older man. You know, like, it's interesting. I find it so fascinating.
But so enough
about celebrities' hands.
Yeah, let's talk about celebrity drama. So Naomi Campbell is one of the most iconic faces in the world, right? Like, she is easily recognizable. I think she's 54 now, and it's interesting because I've been watching that In Vogue documentary on Disney Plus. I actually love, like, fashion and fashion history, and it's basically just, like, the documentary is actually really good, but it's about, like, how fashion changed in the 90s, and I will say, like, it is funny because every episode, a few times every episode, and they're like, that's when everything changed.
You're like, how many times can everything change?
And the way, like, people talk about fashion who are, like, in fashion with so much passion, where they're like, I cannot believe I was at that show. It was magical, like, the air in the room. And I'm just like, and then they come out with the outfits, and I'm like, okay. And a fashion show is, like, 9 minutes. Like, it is usually very short. Not that I've ever been to any. But
I love to see the artistic direction behind behind fashion shows, though.
I do too. I just think I do too. But I think it's very funny when they're like, It was the most amazing, and it's literally like one of them.
But for people who love fashion, it's truly like that.
That's why I love hearing. Like, I love hearing their passion, and I have a passion for fashion too. I just don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
But it just is very funny where it's just like someone's like in a black dress, and you're like,
but it's not like it's not just black.
Yeah.
It's like
and they're like everything changed. I'm like, I don't know. Have you seen that dress in the Hunger Games? I'm like, I think that's when everything changed. But anyway, so recently, Naomi Campbell, this is actually so crazy. That's why I couldn't tell you, like, wait to talk to you about it. So, and I have to give a shout out to the Straight Up podcast that brought this to my attention. It's called Straight Up, to clarify.
Yeah.
But
Straight Up podcast.
Straight Up podcast. So the Charity Commission, which is like a, I guess, organization that can do like inquiries into charities. So they did an inquiry of, it's called Fashion for Relief, of which Naomi Campbell is a trustee of. And they found that only a small fraction of the millions that this charity has raised have been used for good causes. And instead, millions had been spent on luxury items for Naomi. So they spent tens of thousands of pounds on luxury hotel rooms, flights, spa treatments, personal security, and cigarettes. She has like special like luxury cigarettes for Naomi Campbell. But then it was like only like a few £100,000 had been actually donated to the good causes that, like, the Fashion for Relief. It was found like after Katrina, so I think it's supposed to help people, like, I don't actually know. It's supposed to help people in some way, and they weren't. So in a 5-year period from 2016, they raised $4.8 million from a series of fashion shows and only paid out 389, I'm saying dollars, it's pounds, sorry, 389,000 pounds in grants to their partner charity events. And it's just crazy because, like, they went to this fundraising event in Cannes in May 2018, they found in their inquiry, and Naomi Campbell stayed in a $3,000 a night hotel room and ran up personal security costs of more than 4,000 pounds. I keep saying dollars. Just know when I say dollars, it's like pounds or euros. It's any other form of money, honestly. So they also, like, spent $8,000 pounds, euros, whatever, on spa treatments, room service, purchases of cigarettes again, and hotel products. And Naomi Campbell stayed at the hotel, again, 3,000 euros a night hotel, 6 nights, only which were attributed to the charitable event, which is so crazy. So she has been taken, like, she's been removed as a trustee on this, from this charity, and she apparently isn't allowed to be a trustee for, like, I think in the UK or Wales for 7 years, I think it is, because of, like, the mismanagements of funds. And she basically was just like, I don't know what happened. Like, I have lawyers who deal with that stuff. Like, I don't know. And it's crazy to me because I'm like, where did you think, like, you're just spending money for cigarettes? Where do you think the money's coming from? Or, like, for whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But what I found more interesting is I did not know this about her. She has, like, a very significant history of anger management and violence.
She, like, threw a phone at somebody.
Multiple. So here's
yeah.
I wrote a little history. In 1998, she assaulted her then assistant with her phone on the set of filming Prisoner for Love. I don't know, or Prisoner of Love. She grabbed the assistant by the throat and shook her, and the assistant fell to the sofa in tears. And it was found that the reason that Naomi Campbell was angry was because she was delayed by Canadian customs.
Sorry, that's where that went.
Oh, that's funny. And so then she was, like, later said she was going to take a step down from the London catwalk and, like, go to anger management. I guess she did, and it didn't work because in 2001, one of her assistants accused her of hitting her with a phone. And she said that she grabbed her by the arm and, again, threw her down on a couch. And the assistant said she felt like a prisoner when Campbell ordered her to stay in her room at the hotel where they were until her work was done. And then it's crazy. Then in 2005, another assistant claimed that Campbell threw a BlackBerry in her face after she discovered that a piece of Naomi Campbell's luggage was left in Brazil. Then, in 2006, Naomi Campbell lost her cool and threw a gem-encrusted BlackBerry, gem-encrusted this time, at the back of a housekeeper's head while Oprah Winfrey's film crew were setting up, like, in her home or whatever to, like, do an interview with her. She threw this at her gem-encrusted BlackBerry at her.
I always wanted a gem-encrusted BlackBerry.
Well, apparently you and Naomi Campbell, but later her only defense against that, she said that the BlackBerry was, quote, just a regular one, which is like, okay.
Yeah.
And then in 2008, she assaulted an officer at Heathrow after a bag with some of her clothes went missing, and she pled guilty to 4 counts of assault.
Yeah, she's pretty wild.
It is so crazy. And I'm like, why are we not talking about this? And the thing is, I feel like
it has been talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like she's so famous at this point, like, she can't really be taken down. But it's also just like...
Well, yeah.
First of all, you're using millions of dollars of your charity fund for luxury hotels. You're throwing BlackBerries at everyone. Like, that's so crazy. And just, like, the assistants... I can't imagine she has an assistant anymore. Like, after hearing that,
like,
everyone's like, I'm good on that, you know? It's just, like, the anger management. And when you hear about the stuff that, like trips her or, like, triggers her, it's very clear, like, I'm like, yeah, you should be, like, doing some anger management stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say about Naomi Campbell.
That is wild. She seems like a very interesting person. Maybe not one that I'd ever want to meet, but...
Her and Tyra Banks have a whole feud of which, like, Tyra Banks said
Yeah,
that,
but Tyra Banks is also, like...
Yeah, but I think it was very much, like... I don't know, like... She just said, like, I don't know. So Tyra Banks is interesting.
One time Tyra Banks had her on, and she was like... She confronted her, basically, because she was like... You know, Naomi has not always been very nice to her, I guess, is what she was saying.
Yeah.
And, I think Naomi kind of was like, you know, she kind of confronted her, but Naomi's very like, she will stand her ground.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, you got to have like your mom with you on at fashion shows and kind of, you know, places. She was like, I never got that. Like, that's not ever heard of. You don't usually get to like bring your mom places with you. And so she was kind of saying like, Tyra was a little bit more like privileged than her at like, you know, with certain situations, and it was just interesting. But it's like, that's too, like, I don't really take what Tyra says very
and I think
seriously,
part of it is from what I've heard, like what I've read and what I've heard is like, I think Naomi Campbell felt like there was maybe only room for like one like African-American supermodel in the 90s, and then Tyra Banks came along, and then it felt like, okay, well, now we're going to be competing for the same spots, which I get. Like, it's a very, like, you know, especially in the 90s, it's going to be way more difficult. And I think, like, she felt like, okay, I paved this way so you had it easier. So I can see, like, why there would be some animosity there.
And so she was trying to explain that. And, like, it just was funny to have, like, Tyra Banks had her on her show and was, like, basically confronting her, like, you were mean to me. And it's like, grow up. Like, I don't know.
Tyra Banks is such a weirdo.
She's so weird. We could do a whole episode on her. Have you some of the stuff that she did on her show where she like was like frothing at the mouth pretending she had rabies, and like there was one where she like fell out of her chair. Like, she's so crazy.
Okay, I used to watch America's Got Talent with my parents every week. Oh my gosh. And it went from being Nick Cannon, who, like, granted, whatever, he's got his own little cult family, but he was a great, like, announcer, like, whatever. He, like, had charisma, he was very funny. To Tyra Banks, who was, like, very clearly, like, she's interviewing, like, couples from Nebraska or whatever, and she's so weird that they are, like, very clearly, like, what?
Wait, on America's
Got Talent.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking America's Next Top Model. Sorry.
Another American show.
Yeah, with Tyra Banks. But on America's Next Top Model, Tyra Banks, like, that show is so wild.
I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah, it was. If you look back at some of the stuff they had to do, there was one episode where they all had to portray different ethnicities.
Yeah, it'd be like they're like, we're literally shaving your head this week, and it's like, if you don't do it, you're being sent home.
Yeah, the judges were so funny. Like, it was just crazy.
That was such a weird show. What a time. But
yeah,
but seeing her on America's, like, just watch some clips of her.
I never watched any of that. Like, I didn't really watch like talent shows.
I just watched it with my family. I thought it was fun, but her is like a personality. I never watched the Tyra Banks show. I can only imagine just based on her being a host on America's Got Talent. Yeah. And the thing is, I was surprised they invited her back for like multiple years, and like sometimes Simon Cowell would like say these like snide remarks to her, being like, yeah, that was a really normal thing to say, Tyra, or whatever. Like, because it'd be like, she's so crazy. Weird.
The one thing I did love her in, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with the movie Life Size.
I knew that's what you were gonna say.
Oh my gosh, I would watch it like every day.
When she holds up her, again, a foot thing, but when she holds up her foot, it's like made in China. vagina or whatever.
Yeah, that movie was so good. There's always those
the meme where she's typing at her computer and it's gibberish.
Yeah, there's always those rumors of like them making a sequel or whatever, and like idiots on Facebook think it's real, and like I'm just like, please stop sharing this. It's not real.
I'm over like making sequels of things that came out.
They're making a Freaky Friday sequel, and I'm just like, okay,
just leave it as it is.
Yeah, I don't care.
I think it's because they know like box office are like, this is gonna guarantee income.
I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch a Freaky Friday sequel. I love Freaky Friday, but like I'm not gonna watch those two like old women. I'm not trying to be mean, but you know what I mean? Like, why would I care about that?
Those
like,
two old bags.
No, I love like I appreciate Jamie Lee Curtis in things now, but like I don't need to see her replay a role from like I don't why are we doing that?
I thought Lindsay Lohan's character in the movie was so cool, and the song that
so
they
cool.
sing is "Don't wanna grow up, I wanna get out. Hey, take me away."
It was genuinely funny too.
It was so good.
There's a scene where
they played the House of Blues, which I realized
I
was
know.
insane.
It's so crazy. There's
of course she's like, I'm gonna miss your rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, there's a scene where the grandpa like thinks that his granddaughter is like one of her friends, and he goes to hug her. It's just like, it's such a funny, like, it's a really funny movie, and I don't think they need to make a sequel, because also Lindsay Lohan, like, I've seen her acting lately. It's not. Yeah, it's
I
not
love her
top
trajectory.
Notch. I love her trajectory too, and we've had a whole conversation about her, so we don't need to get into it again. But like, I
go see Irish Wish.
But that's where it's like she's kind of lost.
But the thing is, I think about that movie regularly. Like, there is something very like cottagecore comfort about it.
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
but I just can't say that Irish wristwatch.
Yeah, that's what happens. You've had.
It's not the wine. It's my mouth.
I've tripped over my words a little bit tonight too. But I just,
I used to think that in that movie and in general movies, but I thought she was so beautiful in that movie. Her and Amanda Bynes in She's the Man. I literally was like, I want to be these women.
And Lindsay had the freckles. Like, she was just she was so pretty. And she's pretty now, but I'm just saying, like, her natural, like, beauty just is, But I don't, again, no, we don't need a sequel. We don't need a sequel for everything.
We don't need a sequel for everything, no. But okay, so you put on here Hold Your Breath review.
Yeah, so I've watched a couple horror movies in the last few days. And I know we just talked about horror movies, so I feel kind of bad that we're, like, bringing it up again. But
No, it's spooky season. I am fully, okay, Chris and I watched Final Destination. The first one.
Was that the first time seeing it?
No, I've seen it.
Oh, okay. I love the Final Destination movies.
It is so good, but when was the last time you watched the first one?
Maybe like last year or something.
Okay, there are some moments during it where it's like just legitimately funny, where you're just like watching it later, you're just like, what? Like,
I think those movies are actually genius, because the way they build the tension is just like so. It's so good. There's a really funny TikToker. I know I'm going to get into what I'm going to talk about, but there's a funny TikToker where he talks about, like, he pretends like he's like a police officer in the Final Destination universe. So he's like showing up to crime scenes, and they're like, how did it happen? Oh, it's because she slipped and fell in a puddle. And they're like, no, it's actually because like the electricity fell off. Like, and he's like going back, and like, it's just because they're so crazy. But the third one's actually my favorite.
What happens in which?
That's the roller coaster one.
I thought that was the second one. What's the second one? No,
the second one is they're on like the road, and like that one's too real. That one's way too real. It's like where the logs fall off.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I can't remember. So I don't remember what happens in like the fourth one, but then there's like the Final Destination, but then there's been ones after that. But in the Final Destination, or maybe it's I don't know. They're on a bridge, and the bridge collapses. So it's like there's like a lot.
Also, I will say, like, the whole time I kept thinking about, because like if you haven't seen it, Final Destination, spoiler, but also like it came out literally 24 years ago. Is like they're on a plane and it blows up. And you have to remember, this movie came out before 9/11, which is so crazy.
Well, the whole thing, too, is, like, so in the first one, at least, it's, like, I think it's a camera, right? She takes a picture, and that's when, or is that just the third one?
I think that's the third. So what happens is he sees the whole plane crash.
Yeah, so it's usually, like, somebody has a vision of something happening before it does. And so he's able to, whoever the main character is, like, no, like, we got to get out of here. Yeah. Like, so they're able to save themselves and, like, a couple other people while everybody dies in the exact way that they had their vision. Yeah. But because the whole point of these movies is like you can't escape death. It will always catch up with you. So the whole movie and the rest of the series of movies is exactly this formula. It's like, it's just these really intricate ways of them dying. So like,
It's
at one point in the third one, I just always think of it when I go to like a tanning salon is like,
oh yeah,
they die. These two girls like die in a tanning bed because it
Yeah.
like they overheat or whatever. It's just like crazy.
And since we didn't do a question of the week, here's a question that I want to ask you. I actually have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one is if you were, I think about this actually every time I get on a plane. If someone did like a Final Destination thing where you're about to get on a plane, they stood up and they were like, "This plane is gonna blow up."
They would probably make everybody get off.
Yeah, true.
They
at this
would
point.
just halt
Yeah.
the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, or like if someone just like you're sitting there and someone like at the terminal was like, "I think this plane is gonna blow up." What would you do?
Okay, well, I'm about to get on a plane this week, so please don't say that.
But
to
I'm
me.
just saying, like, what would you like? Because it
next
would
week.
be like such a.
Oh,
You've spent like $1,400 on a ticket to Japan or something.
I would
know?
need more context. If they had a vision, I don't know. What would you do?
I don't know. That's why I think about it all the
know.
time. Like I would. Luckily,
I'd be
every
like,
flight
well, why
I've
do
been
you
on has
think
been like the
that?
flight attendants begging people to be bumped to the next flight because it's
Yeah.
overfilled. So I'd be like, me, I'll take the next one.
Yeah, true.
Absolutely.
True,
So I
true.
don't know. But also, how do you think you would
I
time
thought that's what
Final
you were gonna ask me.
Destination?
I think somehow my hair would get caught in something.
Oh, I could see that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of hair. I think it would be me tripping.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we know, I'm very clumsy. But not what we're here to talk about. Sorry. I just
No, it's just what horror movies. I mean, it's hard. I know we
we will
just
be
hadn't-
talking about a lot of horror
we will.
because I also for movie assignments I was going to bring up to you, so and we'll get into our movie assignments later, but I was going to say we should watch a classic horror movie where it's like we both watch them, like Nosferatu or
Oh my gosh, I have
Frankenstein.
some for you.
Like we both watch the same one.
Oh yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
Like one that we haven't seen.
Yeah. We'll have to like
What have I not seen? I've seen some.
we'll have to look it up and also see like
Okay.
the streaming services. But yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay,
So, hold your breath.
So hold your breath. And I'll get into like I have a couple horror movie reviews, but I just watched Hold Your Breath, which is on Hulu currently. Didn't get great reviews, but I thought it was good. I understood the vision.
Yeah.
But it stars Sarah Paulson and also Eben Moss, whatever, from cousin from The Bear. Is in it, and basically it takes place, which there should be more horror movies that take place at this time, in this time period, but it takes place during the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma in the 1930s.
I love that. Spooky.
It's so spooky because like honestly, like you're out there, you can like when one of them dust storms comes through, it's like it's so scary. And so it's about sorry, what were you gonna say? So it's basically Sarah Paulson plays a mother of 2 daughters. She had lost a daughter previously, and her husband is away. I can't even remember like where he is. I'm not sure where he is.
You're like I haven't seen this movie.
Well, no, I'm like, wait, was there a war? Like, no, like where was
in
he?
the 30s?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably.
I know. I'm like stupid right now. Like, where was he? Anyway, I can't remember. But
In a
basically,
Hooverville or
her husband's away, so she's like on this kind of like isolated farm. And I mean, she's got like other people around her. She goes to like church or whatever. But so she's raising her 2 daughters. And essentially, it starts out very slow. The first, and everybody says this from the reviews I've seen, but the first like 30 minutes are very slow until it gets into like what it's supposed to be. But basically, this like drifter is.
Love a drifter.
Oh, yeah. He is played by cousin from The Bear.
Okay.
I
would pick him up.
I know. I'd be like, come on in.
Yeah.
Sure.
You want some chili?
Yeah.
Some for
So
dinner.
he shows up, but there's already been rumors that he's like killed somebody. So now Sarah Paulson's like, get out, like, you know.
Okay,
but,
maybe then I wouldn't.
But he's able to like heal her daughter who gets this like random nosebleed, and he's able to heal her. So they're like, okay, I guess come in and have dinner with us, I guess. But basically, spoiler. So you find out that she gets a letter from her husband who's like, hey, so the drifter cousin claims that he knows her husband. He met her husband. But she gets a letter while he's there that says like, hey, this guy like attacked me and took my jacket, like he's really dangerous, blah blah blah. And so she's like, oh my gosh. So you basically find out though,
that's why we need the technology we have today, because you have to rely on a letter
coming in,
like
until he's
later.
already there.
We're already
and he
dead.
knows what that letter says, by the way. So like, and so basically the whole movie is almost like I don't think he was real. I think he basically was, because I think a lot of women went mad at that time because they were isolated and they were by themselves.
Women have been going mad for centuries because we created a system that makes them go mad.
And so Sarah Paulson's like very her character is very paranoid because she claims that this man was here and everybody's like, no, like, and the daughters, and she goes crazy basically. But the man is like an allegory for like this madness that all these women go through because her sister also has like a similar thing. And so it was actually very interesting. Okay. I thought it was good. I think you would like it.
Okay.
It's worth a watch. Again, I didn't think it was very scary. It was very suspenseful.
Yeah.
But it does take a while for it to come in. But I do think like more movies should take place. I love a period film. So that's what drew me to it was the cast, but also like the fact that it took place in the 1930s. I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
And here is also my theory is like, I think we have to do more horror films and stuff that are like a little bit in the past because again, think of how many murders would be saved with a text message.
Or just turning on your TV and watching something. Yeah. So I want to get into that with my next movie because Matthew and I watched, I'm not kidding, the scariest movie I've seen in a long time last night. It's called Daddy's Head, which is a creepy name. I didn't like the title.
I was going to text you. I'd be like, this sounds
I know. Weird. It's not a great title, but there's a reason it's called that. So I found out about it on TikTok because this girl was talking about it. She had seen it at a film festival, and she was like, if you're scared of anything with like uncanny valley, mimicking, doppelganger type thing, which I am, that's like a huge fear of mine. Yeah. You'll find this movie really scary, but if you don't, you might not find it scary. Yeah. So I do find that stuff scary. So immediately I was like, and it's on Shudder, so you also have to have Shudder, by the way. But we happen to have Shudder. Or you can rent it, I guess. But so we watched it last night. And we were both like, it was scary. And why I literally was like, I almost started crying because it just like freaked me out so much. So basically it's about a boy who loses his father. His father dies, and his father, I guess he doesn't have a mother. So his father was married to this woman who's now his stepmother. So he and his stepmother aren't very close. She's very young. So they're both grieving the loss of this man. Mm-hmm. But they don't really get along. So they're in this huge house, like they're very wealthy. So they're like in this huge modern house with all these like, when it's those big windows in the middle of the woods, it's going to be scary. Because it's like, that's terrifying. But they're isolated. And they were frustrating me so bad because it's like, just leave. All this scary stuff was happening to them, and they wouldn't just like leave the house. Go stay with your friends. She had like a good friend that would come visit her and like make her dinner sometimes and check in on her. Like, go stay with them. Everybody's telling you to leave this house. Just go. You're going crazy. Yeah. Anyway, so basically what happens is the boy starts seeing this creature, like, and it's like this creature is like, the first time they show him, it's like this ball. It's like this weird like ball, and then it runs, and like it's like really freaky.
Picturing me at birth.
Yes, it's almost like some kind of weird thing just came out of birth. It wasn't hairy. Oh, okay. I don't know. But basically this creature had the face of his dad. But it's like an Uncanny Valley thing where it's like not really him, but it's like kind of him. And I
haven't seen Uncanny Valley. I actually know nothing about it.
It's a theory. It's like basically where it's like kind of human, but kind of not. Okay. Like it's like it looks human, but you're also like, that's not human. Okay. Or like that's not real. So it's like very freaky. Mm-hmm. So his face was so scary, Alexa. I literally almost started crying because first of all, my little puppy Matilda was laying on me. So my hands were not free. Oh. So I couldn't use my hands to cover my eyes or close my ears. And I had to sit there and watch it. Yeah. I had to raw dog this movie. Whew. And I was literally about to cry because it was so scary.
I appreciate about you and I. We both plug our ears during scary movies. Yeah. Even though we both love scary movies, I don't like the sound.
I can't handle that tension
pop out
because
we're both
show
high anxiety girlies.
Exactly.
Both freaked out over the moon last week.
Oh. I don't even want to get into that.
We won't get into the moon.
No, we won't talk about the moon. This moon that only Alexa and I saw.
Yeah, which I also tweeted yesterday. I was like, do you ever look at the moon and just think of Xenon the sequel?
I don't know what this moon was. It was something. It wasn't even from... It's Xenon. Like, it was...
I'm glad you said... Okay, to clarify, like, Molly and I were driving home. The moon looked insane. Like, it was orange. It was the closest I've ever seen the moon to Earth. And if you hadn't and then it disappeared. Like
it went down. Like I
literally almost crashed my car. Like
me too, because we both kind of. I mean, we live close to each other, so we were both driving in the same direction, so no one else saw it, because if you were in your house, there's no way you saw it, because again, it went down, and I literally, I'm not kidding, I thought the world was about to explode, because I freaked out. I'm
not kidding. If you hadn't have said, oh my god, I saw that moon too, I think I would have been like, someone take me to a psych ward. Yeah. Like, that was crazy.
Looked like a fake moon. Like, it was like a half moon.
Yeah. You were like telling me like moon phases. I was like, gonna be real.
The next day I looked at moon phases. I literally, like, Matthew came home and I was like kind of spiraling. I was like, I need you to talk me down right now. Yeah. Like, what was wrong with that moon? Yeah. Also, is there a potential hurricane coming here ever? Like, I'm freaking out about everything currently.
Oh, I have some things to say about the hurricane, but
I don't really want to. I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, it's about Caroline Calloway.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes.
Then we will talk about it.
Okay.
So anyway, Daddy's Head, very scary. It was genuinely, but if you find that kind of thing scary, so again, like, I find, like, mimicking or, like I said, Uncanny Valley, where people's smiles are, like, really, like, I'm thinking about it. I had chills. Yeah. Matthew had chills. Matthew was freaked out too. Very scary movie.
Okay.
Highly recommend. And also,
I've been looking for a good scary film.
I think it's an independent film. It was like, it's not, I didn't recognize.
The indie ones are always the scariest.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't recognize anybody from the cast. So, like, give it a watch.
Yeah. But so speaking of the hurricane, okay, so I have to get into this. I don't know if we've talked, I think I talked about this on our, like, fake episode that we did. Like, the first episode we ever recorded, we never released, where we talked about, like, girls, and I went into this, like, long, deep dive about Caroline Calloway. But if you don't know who Caroline Calloway is, I'm going to give a very quick, but I would love to get in deep on this someday. I have so many thoughts. But she basically is an influencer who came to fame in, like, I want to say it's like 2013, 2014, because she went to Oxford or Cambridge. I actually can't remember. But anyways, and she would post about it as, like, being an American abroad and, like, all these, she's a very pretty girl, and she would post these, like, long captions about her boyfriend Oscar that she met there and, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. But then, like, she ended up, I guess, like, it was revealed, I can't remember if she did or whatever, that she basically faked her, like, transcripts and, like, everything to get into Oxford. Dang. And then, in the most recent drama, it's a whole saga. I have been following this girl, I'm not kidding, since, like, for 10 years. I know so much about her. It's actually insane. But basically, the most recent drama, as in, like, this happened, like, 4 or 5 years ago. I was still at the newspaper that we both worked at when this happened. Her best friend, her name is Natalie Beach, came out with this article saying that she wrote all of her captions for her. And I'm not kidding, like, millions of followers, and that Caroline Calloway had bought her followers, etc. And so then also the next day, trigger warning, but her dad committed suicide. So that was, like, a whole thing. She's from Virginia, actually.
Oh, wow.
So that is, like, kind of, like, the background of how she got famous. She lived in New York City for a long time and was, like, a very, like, New York City it girl. And she recently came out with a book. It was called Scammer, and it's supposed to be, like, her memoirs, because she was on the hook. It was for, like $500,000, like $500,000 of a book deal where she never wrote the book, but she spent all the money. So then she was on the hook for it. And because she said it was supposed to be, like, about her boyfriends that she had been with or whatever. And she was like, I just didn't really want to write about men or something like that. And it was like, okay, but you still, like, spent all the money about it. Mm-hmm. So then she came up with, like, she came up with, like, these classes where she's like, oh, we're going to talk about, like, writing and, like, girly stuff or whatever. And people showed up and was, like, literally, like, she made, like, these salad bowls where it was, like, she just had gotten some leaves of, like, salad and put them together, and, like, people were like, that's why, and she got known as, like, being a scammer. So that's where
what was the salad for?
It was supposed to be like, oh, we're gonna make our salads and we're gonna have, like, this, like, girl time sessions or whatever, and she had to cancel a bunch of them, I think. Again,
but why salad? I'm confused.
Because she's, like, big into, like, she's, like, healthy, like, she's
okay,
like an it girl, like, type of, like, oh, I don't know if she does yoga, but anyways.
Got it.
I'll, like, write this down when I get more into it. Mm-hmm. But I've followed her ever since then. She actually started a book club called Hot Girl Reads with this girl from my high school, which is random, who is also, like, a model. She was very pretty. I won't say her name, but, and then they never did anything with it. So she is very notorious for, like, making these commitments and never doing anything, right? Mm-hmm. For being, I'll be honest, a little bit crazy. She, like, got viral. Also, she painted her entire apartment white. Like, the floors, the walls, the ceilings, everything. She even painted over, it would be like, there was stuff, like, on the walls, and it would be like she painted over it white. Like, she's kind of out there. So anyways, so she came out with Scammer, and then Natalie Beach, her best friend, came out with her memoir, which I haven't read either of them, because I'm going to be honest, I, like, read blurbs from them. I was like, the writing really isn't for me. Even though I am obsessed with Caroline Calloway. Like, I I'm very much like for her in a very not good way. But so recently she deleted her Instagram, but then she came back recently. She also did like, oh God, again, I'm going to do a deep dive because it's crazy. She also did this OnlyFans thing where she would dress up as literary characters, but like she would dress up as like Elizabeth Bennet, but you could like see her tits kind of, but not really. And I was like, seems like it's really appealing to just like me type of thing.
Right, like who?
And even then I'm like, well, I don't really care. Like I'm not like sexually attracted to you, so I don't care about that part. Yeah. I just want to see your costumes. I didn't subscribe to her OnlyFans or anything, but like I just remember seeing that, because she would post it on her Instagram and like the important parts are covered up, and she'd be like, "Follow me on OnlyFans." Oh my god! So, but she
clearly has just like a ton of ideas. She's not following through with anything.
A while ago, she came out. It was called Snake Oil. Literally, that's what it was called. It was a hand-drawn, hand-printed like little thing. It was like a face oil that she was selling, but then nobody was getting them. It was like a whole thing. Anyways. She is so chaotic. I'm going to like, it's a lot. But recently, she came back into the social awareness because she lives in, I think it's Sarasota, Florida, and she was in a mandatory evacuation zone and was refusing to leave her apartment. And I'm not kidding. She is literally like, she would post it. She's like, if you looked at a map, it's like, here's the water, here's her. Like, that is where she lives. Yeah. And so throughout, like, she was posting I was keeping updates. But I took screenshots. Let me pull it up. Because I think I sent it to you. Because people were like, oh, she's a bad influencer. Because people should be evacuating. She was like, well, I don't have a car. There's no gas, even if I did. And there's no way to get out.
Well, and some people, like, there were people who said, like, evacuating would be more dangerous than staying. Right. But I do think those people should just not post about it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's your personal decision. Do what you want, but don't, if you're literally an influencer, maybe don't let other people know about
Right. So I, like, took a screenshot of one of her stories. One of them, it was like, she was like, we're in the eye of the storm. Like, I'm out on my patio. My hair isn't even moving, but the power's still on. And then the next one, she was like, the power's out, but, like, she was like, there was a lot of wind and it was crazy. Again, she is in, like, I would say one of the most dangerous storms for this hurricane. And what made me mad is she's got her cat with her, too. I'm like, at least...
That's going to bother you, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, that's going to bother you and only you.
No, I mean, you're very...
But, so she was, like, also posting, like,
I also care about pets, just putting that out there.
That's fine. I believe you. Okay. I just care about...
very
much
about other people's pets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, like, she was posting out her books, and she literally posted this thing. It says, it's a picture of her and her cat with a link. Okay, so it says, if I actually die in the storm, my books are going to go way up in price. Order now. With a link that says my legacy.
But that's like her. Okay, so she is feeding into your, like, anger, or not even anger, but just you being like, what? Like, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah,
at this point, she's like a performance artist. You know what I mean?
I do think she is, like, nuts a little bit. And I do think
you would have to be.
And I think that's what keeps people coming back. I think what originally drew me to it is, like, it was a very, like, you know, British literary drama type of thing. And then, like, you just keep coming back to it because it's so different from what it was to begin with. And you just are like, the chaos, the drama. Yeah. Like, I can't look away.
But she knows that at this point. Like, she knows what people are there for now. So she's going to feed into that.
Yeah. And I'll keep you guys updated on that. Honestly, like, I am here for it. If I ever met her in person, I would squeal. I would be like, oh my God, I know everything about you. I would never want to be friends with her, I don't think, because, again, she seems a little out there. Because there was, like, a whole thing where, like, her friend Natalie Beach talked about, like, they went to Germany together or something, and she didn't have, like, the key to, like, get back into the hotel, and Caroline had just, like, left her there to go with a guy. So she basically had to walk around Germany, like, whatever town they were in, I can't remember, for hours until the morning when, like, because she wasn't answering her phone, nothing, when Caroline was finally just like, oh, what do you need? Like, she would just disappear because she said she was addicted to Adderall. So she would go on these, like, Adderall high binges or whatever. She's just a fascinating person. And I'll do a deep dive. I'm, like, saying probably a lot of incorrect facts, a lot of, like, random shit about her. But just, like, the hurricane stuff really revived for me. I'm just like, this girl has got the attention, and it's mine.
And that's what I don't like about those people is, like, that's all they wanted. Like, I don't like to give them that attention.
Yeah, I shouldn't. I should, but the thing is, I feel like again, 10 years I've been following this girl.
Yeah, I mean,
I read every post, every caption, everything. I am fully,
I've literally never heard of her.
It's like, she was like, people call her like the original influencer. Like, she was like hugely popular when she came out, when she first did things. Yeah. But yeah. So also another thing that I want to talk about, I literally wrote on here, I'm screaming, when you're
kicking your feet about.
Kicking my little feet, let me tell you, is the show Nobody Wants This. It has Kristen Bell and Adam Brody. If you have been living under a rock, it is 30-minute episodes. It's a little rom-com. And basically the premise is he is a rabbi and she is not Jewish at all. She's Kristen Bell. She's they call her, I think it's like a shitzka or something. Yeah. I'm not Jewish, so I don't know. And they fall in love, and like obviously it's like this whole thing where there's tension because she's not Jewish and he not only is Jewish but is a rabbi. Like that is his career, but he's like a chill rabbi. Like they go to a sex store, whatever. It's very funny. It's very fresh, but also it made me think of us because Kristen Bell and her sister, who is Willa in Succession.
Oh, the character, yeah.
They have a podcast together.
Really?
Yes. And they sit there and they talk, like, that's their whole thing is supposed to be.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, like, not
in the movie.
In the show. In the show, yes.
Cute.
Yeah, and it made me, and the podcast is called Nobody Wants This, and it basically is like they talk about, like, dating or whatever, and I think it's interesting, like.
Justine Loop is, so, or I think that's how you say her name, she is so pretty. Like, I've seen her, like, fashion and I guess like promoting this movie, and like she has like a bow, like I just love her. It's
such a cute show. It's to clarify, it's a show, not a movie, but it is so cute. It's so well done. Like I am a huge.
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
No, it's okay. I don't want people to be like, oh, it's an hour show, and then it's like now I have to sit through 15 half-hour episodes, or it's 10 episodes. But it's just like as someone who loves rom-coms, like it was very refreshing. It's very funny. Kristen Bell is also so beautiful. I can't believe she's like 45 or 47, and I'm like, again, I'm jealous of people's jawlines because I have none, but I'm just like, that's insane. You look the exact same as when you played Veronica Mars. Like that is absolutely crazy. But they do such a good job. But I think like, so it's interesting, the creator, her name is Erin Foster, and it's based on her real life experience. And so she married a Jewish man, and she has a podcast with, I think, her sister as well, which I think is interesting. But the Jewish women reaction is interesting because I think they are very much like portrayed as like, oh, we just care about getting married and we're like not nice and we're catty or whatever. But Erin Foster has come out and just been like, well, that was my experience.
I was going to say, that's how it is often portrayed in media.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, people have been upset about it. I don't know, like, I've never been in this world, but I would imagine it is a very difficult world to enter.
I'll tell you how it's often portrayed is like, so if the guy is Jewish and the girl is not, it's always like the guy's parents or mom is trying to set them up with a nice Jewish girl.
Yep.
And they're like, no, I want to be with this girl, and it's always just kind of like, oh, like the Jewish girl is being like left in the dust. That's always how it's portrayed.
And I think like also it's a big thing because I didn't know this until I was in grad school that Judaism is passed down through the woman, through the mother. So that's probably like a huge thing about it, even if you convert or whatever. But it's also like, I think to marry a rabbi and you're not Jewish is kind of wild. They don't get married. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's like a whole other thing.
That's not a spoiler, like, they don't get married. It got picked up for a season 2, so maybe they do. But, like, that's a whole other thing. And I think, like, the cultural difference is very interesting. But it's interesting because I think they do show a different side of, like heavily religious people where, like, he's a chill rabbi. Like, he's like, let's go to a sex store. His brother, who's also Jewish, like, is like, yeah, I just, like, he says he's California sober, as in he doesn't drink, but he does edibles or whatever. Like, so it's, like, they're religious, but they're not, like, super conservative or anything.
I don't think they're as conservative as like a pastor or a priest is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, which I think is interesting. But I also can't imagine like she goes to like these events with him or whatever, and you can tell that she's like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, I can't imagine if I showed up to a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah or whatever you say. I mean, I think they're both different things. But anyways, and like just knowing what to do, especially if everyone's looking at you as the rabbi's girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And, like, they say this in the first episode, it's spoilers, but so he's dating this Jewish girl at first. This is actually crazy, where he comes in and she's wearing an engagement ring, and the brother is like, wait, did you guys get engaged? And Adam Brody's like, no. And she's like, well, I just found this, and you were taking, like, so long, I figured I might as well just start wearing it. And so then, like, they obviously break up after that because he's like, I'm not really feeling it. And I'm like, that is an insane thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think Kristen Bell and her sister, like, have a really sweet, lovely relationship, especially, like, with their podcast. But so their podcast is almost like a Call Her Daddy-esque thing where it's about dating and, like, sex or whatever. And her sister gets mad at her because she's like, okay, now that you have, like, a rabbi boyfriend that you don't really want to talk about that much on the podcast, like, it's been boring. Like, we don't have anything to talk about, really. And I'm like, I guess that, like, that would be, I think, like, I thought about that with, like, Call Her Daddy, or even, like Chris and I have talked, like, with Taylor Swift, where all her songs are, like, you know, about, like, her boyfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, once you're in that, like, stable, like, long-term relationship, if that dating stuff is your content.
Friend of the pod.
Hannah is currently calling.
Hannah is currently FaceTiming.
We're busy.
Busy.
But, you know, like, if that's your content, if, like, your life is your content and your life changes, I do think, like, it poses a problem. And I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. I know you'll never watch it because you don't like rom-coms.
I won't, and I don't love rom-coms, but can I tell you what I'm kicking my feet about?
What?
So, have you ever heard of Chicken Shop?
Yeah.
Okay, so Amelia, I think her name is like De Moldenberg. I'm not sure how to say her last name. I maybe very much butchered that. But she hosts this show. It's like a little, like, I don't know, maybe like 14-minute segment on YouTube called Chicken Shop.
I think it's Chicken Shop Date.
Yeah. So she's like, she goes on these like awkward, she's very like, her humor is very awkward, but she goes on these like quote unquote dates with usually it's become very famous celebrities because she's gotten more popular. But at first it was just like rappers or just, you know, musicians that she liked. But their videos on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel. And she goes on these like she's very funny. She's very like awkward. And so the dates are supposed to be like awkward dates where she's just like asking them questions and just, it's very funny. And
she's had like Joe Jonas and Billie Eilish on.
She's had like huge people on. She's had Jennifer Lawrence on. Like she's had like huge famous people. She's gotten so famous that she's now been like interviewing people on red carpet. So she'll be like a correspondent at like the Golden Globes or something. I don't know, just something like that. Yeah. So last year a video went viral because she was interviewing Andrew Garfield, and at this point, like most people know who she is. So like when they come up, they kind of know the vibe and they're like, hi, and it's always like funny. And so it was the hottest thing. Like the two of them were flirting so hard.
I can imagine Andrew Garfield flirting with
my God.
He was like Fallout.
It was so funny. And he's just very like, he was just very, very flirty. And so the two of them just had like so much chemistry that everybody, as soon as that clip came out, like everybody was like, you have to have him on the show. Like Andrew Garfield has to be on Chicken Shop Date. And so she just announced the other day that he's going to be on an episode. Ooh. And it's the moment that I've been waiting for like a year. Like I am so excited.
That's exciting.
It's just something that I'm like, I know I don't really like rom-coms, but like that. And so what I was going to say though is there's like a photo. I'll show you. It's a photo that she posted. Aww. It's a photo that she posted of the two of them, like to announce that he's going to be on. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, this has to be the like people like rom-com authors, what do you call that, like what do you call those kind of authors? I guess just
authors,
rom-com authors. Hold on, I'll find it.
Okay.
Oh, they posted a clip of it. Okay, they just like posted a new clip today. Anyway, sorry, I'm really excited. So it's this photo. You can't see it, but it's the two of them sitting at a table. Ooh, and people are like, rom-com authors, whatever you call those, are going to send those to their like designers to be like, this is how I want the cover of like, they're going to use that to base their like story on. Absolutely. But I'm just like, I'm so excited. I love that. Like, I hope they start dating.
Also, I was going to say about Andrew Garfield, I think I sent this to you. He did like a modern love reading, which like the New York Times, like if you don't know, they do like modern love and it's like stories that people submit. And he like literally, he got choked up reading one and it got me choked up. and it was just like about like kind of like the distance and relationships between people. And if you haven't like seen it, go watch it. It's very moving. I literally was just like, whoa.
I saw that, and it was very moving, and also it was moving because did you see his interview where he was basically talking about, because he's in his 40s now, I think.
What?
Yeah, he's like 41, I want to say.
Hold on. My God, him and Kristen Bell are aging phenomenally. Like, that's crazy.
She may be even older than that. I'm not sure. He's 41. Yeah.
No.
And so he did an interview where he was just like, he was kind of being, because he gets very like,
he could probably still play a teenager. That's crazy.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah, because he's in a, obviously we've talked about this before, but he's in that new movie, We Live in Time, I think, with Florence Pugh. I mean, Florence Pugh's like she's like 26 or 27 or something.
I think people in their 30s maybe, like early 30s.
I think she's older than me. Yeah, she's 28. And so, he obviously plays somebody around that age, but he's in his early 40s. But anyway.
Also about that movie, I have a question for you. He wears this, it's like a jean jacket with like, there's like this crazy horse on the cover of it, and it's like sewn in.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Would you ever want that? Would you ever wear that?
I probably would if I like the movie. I'd have to see the movie first, and if I'd want to represent the movie like that.
Noted. Keeping that in the dome.
Okay, if they sell that.
Yeah, I'd have to find
funny
it.
That you just straight up asked me that.
A custom. Well, your birthday's not till July. So,
I know.
And maybe I'll get it like 4 years from now. Who knows? It's in there. It's locked into my vault.
So yeah. But I'm just excited about it. So he talked, sorry, to go back to what I was saying really quick. He said in an interview that he got very kind of like introspective. Like he was like, I get very sad thinking about, that I'll probably never have children and never get married. It was actually very emotional. I was surprised he was opening up like that. It was very emotional.
I also know We Live in Time. I'm gonna cry. Also, that Tom Hanks
everyone.
Movie,
oh my gosh, I refuse to see that one because I think I'll
be in the theater by myself bawling.
Those two movies you can tell they're just made to make people cry, which I don't appreciate.
I cry about anything that has to do with the passage of time and relationships.
Me too.
And love of like family and friends.
Because I've told you before, it doesn't have to be sad to make me cry. Like sometimes it can also be like
About Time, I cry every time.
Yeah, which I've never seen that, but I get like emotional when people are even just like when something's hopeful, like or encouraging or whatever. Like that also makes me emotional. So I can see like the Tom Hanks one, even though it may not even be about like grief or anything like that.
It will be.
I'm sure it will be, but. Just I was surprised to see the preview that it showed like back to like the Middle Ages because it
shows dinosaurs.
Like it shows basically the passage of time, and it shows like this family living in this house, but I guess it goes back like all the way to like where this house was built,
which is crazy. Like think about the house we're on right now. I bet a dinosaur stepped on this plot of land.
Doesn't it freak you out? Doesn't it freak you out that like colonial people walked through here?
The passage of time really freaks me out. I'm gonna be honest. I lay awake thinking like Chris is dead asleep, mouth open, tongue out. I'm thinking about how we're all gonna die and time is passing every second.
He's like, I wonder if she's thinking about other men. It's like in your head, it's like dinosaurs walking through. I almost just said your address on this podcast. That wasn't bad.
Oh yeah. Stalk me. No, I'm just kidding. Please. But yeah.
I mean, I want to be in a horror movie. I want a good like lake house.
I was thinking about it. I always say I want to be haunted, but then like I've been listening to like the Morbid podcast. I'm like, I don't want to be haunted like some people have been haunted.
You don't want to be haunted in ways that like, because you would. I'm trying to think of a way to say this like diplomatically. I'm just kidding. But like you would be it would never leave your brain. Like you would always be talking about it, always be thinking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a puppy snore.
Yeah.
But I don't think you would actually really like it. I think it would drive you crazy. You'd be so annoyed. But it would give us something to talk about all the time.
That's true.
Can you be haunted?
Yeah, as though we don't already talk about things all the time.
No,
like add that to the mix. I'm working on it. I'm actively working on being haunted.
How are you working on that? Are you trying to dig up like some burial?
I used to do that in my parents' yard all the time. And one time I found this old oil can and I was convinced that it was like haunted. Oh. And I kept it in my parents' garden and they'd be like, can we get rid of this?
like no, this is my future ghost.
I dug a huge hole in the yard. Huge.
See, I wouldn't want to mess with any like sacrificial burial grounds or anything.
I mean, our house is already on the land. Like, what am I going to do?
If you dug it up though.
Have I told you the creepy things that happened in my parents' house?
No, we had a whole episode about hauntings. Why didn't you talk about it then?
I'll tell you, like, so for the first thing that ever happened, not the first thing, but like the main thing, it was, I will never forget, I was home alone, I was taking a shower, and it's just me, and like we had our golden doodle, Daisy, who's the same as yours, and I literally like know that she was inside the house when I went to like take a shower because she was laying on the bathroom floor. Then I come out, I cannot find her. I'm like, where is she? I'm searching around the house. She's outside on the back porch, and she could not have opened the door by herself. It's like a round handle, you know what I mean? And I'm like, what the fuck? And I open the door. She immediately like starts freaking out. Like she's like sniffing around. She's like looking at things. I'm maybe like, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old. I'm like, oh shit, I'm standing in a towel. I'm like, oh shit. I follow her all the way upstairs to the attic door, and she is like sniffing and she's barking at the door. And I literally was just like, I'm not opening that. And we left.
So that reminds me of, to go back to Daddy's Head, there was a dog in that. The family had a dog, and
they always do.
But I just reminded me to tell you, maybe don't watch the movie. You're not gonna like it. But that dog was a G. I was so sad because even like Matthew and I were just like, dang, because this dog was, when this creature would come, this dog would bolt after it. It was like freaking out. It really went after it.
And that's the thing about dogs. When sad, I fell and I sprained my ankle on the front porch, and my neighbor came across shirtless. To clarify, he was a man. He was an older man. Yeah, Poe was here. Poe was here for me. She was like, she was ready to go after that man as I lay there broken on the ground. And I was like,
wait, she was gonna go after the man?
Yeah, she was like, who the fuck is this man?
Oh, I thought you meant she was trying to help you get up or whatever.
No, like I think she saw like I'm laying on the ground just like in visible pain. This man is charging at us, honestly, from a great distance. And she's just like, and I was like, thank you for the protection. I actually feel very safe.
Aww.
Like this dog has got me.
I wonder what Matilda would do.
I mean, eventually
she would bite. Yeah. She'd be biting the shit out of somebody.
Okay, I just want to get into briefly our last topic, which is our movie assignments.
Yes.
Okay, what did you think? I had you watch The Last King of Scotland. Thoughts?
It was a movie.
Okay.
It was a film.
Your mom said it was good.
When did you talk to my mom about it?
We talked. No, I'm just kidding. It was when we all went to the movies together.
I didn't even hear you guys talking about that.
I think you were ordering food. And I said, yeah.
She's seen it? Oh, interesting.
I said...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just like, I signed Molly The Last King of Scotland. And she was like, oh, that's a good movie.
Interesting. I wonder if she's actually seen it. So I kind of understand why you told me to watch it, but at the same time, kind of not. So I will say I got Matthew to watch it because we watched the preview, and he was like, "What?" Because I was like, "Please watch this with me," and he was very. I will say I think Matthew was way more into the movie than I was.
Okay.
I love James McAvoy. And he was good in it. Remind me who the main actor was.
Forest Whitaker.
Forest Whitaker, I think, won an Oscar for it. I think
probably.
Looking it up. Yeah, I looked it up, and I think he actually won an Oscar. He won like a bunch of awards for it. And he was very good in it. I understand why he won, but I think I don't know. It was interesting.
Okay.
It was interesting. It was it did go from 0 to 100 for sure. The scene where they like went, I'm not going to get into the whole plot, but like the scene where they went into the I guess they were in a hospital, whatever. They saw the body parts.
Yeah.
That was like...
I think about that scene regularly.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
I was a kid when I watched that.
So I'm curious, what made you want me to watch it?
We were just talking about James McAvoy, and that I honestly think about that movie when I think about James McAvoy all the time. And that movie is, I think, very jarring, and like I do think it's jarring. Very like good, like in terms of the content, it's very unique. It's very... I think it says something, but also it's been like 15 years since I've seen it.
I was just curious what, like, I wasn't asking that in like an aggressive way. I just meant like, or in a challenging way. I just was literally curious why.
I think it's a movie that says something in a unique way. Yeah. And also I think it's like James McAvoy's one of his first roles, you know?
He was definitely young, and I did the math. I think he would have been like 24 or 25
because I think
or something.
Atonement came out after, and I remember watching Atonement and being like, that's the guy from Last King of Scotland.
Yeah, and he was good in it. Gillian Anderson, I think her name was in it too.
Okay, yeah, she was,
but she wasn't really in it she was only in like the beginning. It was
yeah.
weird. Yeah, it was interesting. I will say I think Matthew was definitely more into it than I was. I kind of was like,
What didn't you like about it? I'm curious. It's okay.
It just, for some reason, it just didn't fully hold my interest. Again, there were certain parts where I was like, whoa. But I don't know.
I think it's one of those movies that's like not you have to see it, but I think it's a very like cultural zeitgeist movie of like
Is
the
it though?
early
Because
2000s.
I've literally never heard of it until you brought it up to me.
Really? I feel like I mentioned it to people a lot and they like have seen it or heard of it.
And the other thing is like, so I've seen a ton of James McAvoy interviews. I love James McAvoy. I've never heard him bring it up once. And it's obviously like considered a very good movie, but I've never heard him, I don't think I've ever heard him talk about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's why I was surprised that I'd never heard of it, but
yeah. But that's also why when I presented to you, I was like, it is disturbing, but not in like the like in a scary movie disturbing way, in like the horrors of reality.
It also bothered me because I liked their relationship at first, and then he became so evil towards him, like that I was just like, oh, well, then I guess, well, yeah. I don't know. I just was like, this just went in so many different directions.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. I think it went in so many different directions that I felt like I couldn't really keep up with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. But
interesting.
It was, I saw it, and
yeah.
it was interesting. So your assignment was to watch the first 2 episodes of Murder House, because just to backtrack a little bit in case you didn't hear, Alexa has only watched the Coven season of American Horror Story, and she did not like it.
Hated it.
And I was like, Alexa, why would you start with Coven? So and multiple people have told her that. They're like, why would you start with Coven? So my assignment was for her to go back and rewatch the beginning of American Horror Story Murder House, because I guess you have seen the first 2 episodes. So you've gotten really far into it.
Yeah, I have 1 episode left. I'm not going to say too much because we have decided we're going to do a little special on it. But yeah, I think it was a good assignment, especially for spooky season. Like I said, I'm very much like, I want some new spooky season stuff, but I feel like this year there's like a lot of random shows that are coming out, but nothing where I'm like, oh, this is spooky. Like, it's all like true crime murder stuff, and I'm like, I want a haunting. You know? So yes, I agree. I've said this before, but when I first watched American Horror Story, I was actually scared of it. The scene with the I can't think of his character's name, but where his face is burned. He's the I don't know his name. Yeah.
He is, when they first show him, he's like, I remember somebody's looking out the window. I think Dylan McDermott's character is like looking out the window, and he sees him down there in like the clothesline, and it's just like so jarring. It's like so freaky. I was gonna say though, I want to do a quick poll. Please let us know. Please give us feedback. Alexa brought up the great idea of doing an episode about American Horror Story, and she thinks we should just do 1 episode about Murder House. And I think we should just do an episode on American Horror Story. And the reason I think that, well, you don't have to totally give in. We can let people give.
Sorry, I said so.
That's fine. I'm like, wait, I wanted to argue.
Okay.
But
absolutely, yes.
No.
You're like, should we throw Alexa off a building? Okay.
You're like, yeah, whatever, if that works for you.
Yeah.
No, I just think so. So I see your point, because you're like, there's almost too much. My thing, though, is like, if we do 1 episode of Murder House, are we really going to revisit and keep doing more episodes? Because there's so many seasons at this point. I think there's like 12 seasons. So I think it might be just nice to do like 1 episode. Yeah. And obviously we'd only talk about the seasons that are good, really. But like, yeah. Yeah. I think that's my personal thought. If you guys are listening and you think like, no, just 1 episode of Murder House, please.
Yeah, I'll watch the next season. Whatever, like, I'll watch it till it gets bad, which apparently seems to be Coven.
I guess you do have to watch all the seasons. Then I didn't think
nothing else.
I didn't think about the situation I was putting you in.
Well, we can also discuss with our special guest.
Yes,
unnamed but confirmed. Oh, I do love that also, though, recently, like, with American Horror Story, I've seen the meme lately where it's like, American Horror Story came out this day 13 years ago, and then the comment is like, and it hit Tumblr like crack in the 80s.
Yes, did I send that to you, or did you just see it? Because I almost sent that to you. Yeah, it is so true. The whole, like, so the whole normal people scare me or whatever. Yeah. Tate, oh my god, Tate and Violet were just, like, the ultimate Tumblr.
Oh, I'm sure. I missed Tumblr before, like... when Tumblr in college,
Tumblr.
Yes, it was just like, oh, I didn't even have, like, I had a Tumblr just to look at what people were tumbling. I don't know what the culture is. And I just was
posting, I don't know.
I just was like, wow, what a vibe. What a lovely, depressed little vibe.
It's true that I feel like that time frame was definitely iconic.
Yeah.
But that season is just definitely a vibe. But I'm curious. I really want you to watch Asylum because I actually think Asylum is the best season. But I also
what season is it?
The second season.
Okay.
Like the next season. But I also think
if we're gonna do a special episode, I'll watch as much as I can before we can.
Okay, feel free to skip Coven. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I've already watched 2/3 of it, and I don't care about it. I hate it.
And it's an unpopular opinion, by the way. I'm glad you feel that way because most people love Coven.
I think it had a good premise. It's just the acting. There were so many...
I think people love it because of, like, the girl power aspect, but I'm also just like, yeah, but, again, the acting is, like, some of the acting in that is so cringe.
But we'll get into it.
I know, I'm already, like, this is how...
This is why I was like, we'll be talking for a long time.
Alexa texted me over the weekend and was like, I know you're busy, but, like, would you be interested in doing an American Horror? I was like, yes.
You were like, I'm 2 marks deep, but yes.
And I would have said that 2 marks down. I don't know what that means. But, yeah. I'm very down. So
cool. But anyways, thanks for popping in with us this week. As always, follow us, like, subscribe, rate us. Everything helps. Also follow us on Instagram to see our out of context posts. Or usually we do a question of the week. We actually literally forgot this week. But you can answer there. And it's at Poppin' in Podcast.
We decided to give you guys a break from homework.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thanks for listening this week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.